Hello again, everybody. It's me. I'm here. The beard is trimmed. The rest of the semester is planned out. So let's get to it. We're going to go over today the last 5 common errors in student essays, and then we'll talk a little bit about essay 4. All right. So here we go. If you'll open up the document that I shared with you on Google Docs and follow along with me. Common error number 5, lack of agreement between pronoun and antecedent. Now, I actually accidentally covered this the other day when I was talking about unnecessary shifts in pronoun, but this again is pronouns have to agree in number. For example, each of the puppies thrived in their new home. Each is singular, so it would be each of the puppies thrived in its new home. A student must attend classes if they want to pass the course. Student is singular, they is plural, so you could correct it 2 ways. You can say a student must attend class if he or she wants to pass the course, or you can change the noun and say students must attend classes if they want to pass the course. Again, I spoke a little bit in the last video about how people who do not identify with either gender want to use they as a pronoun. And you know, that's fine, but strictly speaking, from a grammatical standpoint, they is a plural pronoun, not a singular one. So my advice is this: if you have your teachers, particularly English teachers, are more likely to be old school and want to use just they as a plural pronoun. So that's the way I would use it. I would stay old school on this in your writing. Has nothing to do with the gender issue at all. You know, people can identify however they want to identify, but just strictly as a point of grammar, they is a plural pronoun and can only replace a plural noun. How that will evolve in the English language in the future, I don't know. I'm just giving you my advice in terms of being grammatically correct going forward in essays that you write. The next sentence, neither Jane nor Susan felt that they had been treated fairly. What is the subject here? Is it Jane? Is it Susan? Is it Jane nor Susan? It's none of those things. The subject of this sentence is the word neither. Neither felt. Neither is singular, so the way the sentence would read correctly is neither Jane nor Susan felt that she had been treated fairly. All right. The next sentence, every student must provide their own uniform. What is the subject here? Is it student? No, it's every. The word every is singular, so there's 2 ways you can correct this sentence. You can write every student must provide his or her own uniform, or you can write students must provide their own uniforms and make uniform plural also. All right, so if you have a problem where one is singular and one is plural, you can change them to be both singular or both plural. See what I mean? All right, so moving on. Number 4, unnecessary commas with a restrictive element. A restrictive element in a sentence is a portion of the sentence that restricts the meaning of the sentence. Without that portion of the sentence, the meaning of the sentence is different. All right, a non-restrictive element is when the word or words is adding extra information that is just there to be extra. A restrictive element, and A non-restrictive element is non-restrictive. It doesn't change the meaning of the sentence. You can take that element out and the sentence would be the same. In a restrictive element, though, that word or words changes the meaning of the sentence. Without that word or words, the meaning of the sentence is different. For example, people who want to preserve wildlife areas oppose the plan to privatize national parks. Those commas are not correct there. Why? Because the phrase "who want to preserve wildlife areas" is a restrictive element. It changes the meaning of the sentence. Without that element, the sentence means something else. So if we took that out, the sentence would mean people oppose the plan to privatize national parks. That's different. That doesn't mean the same thing as the way the sentence is originally written. That being the case, you do not separate it with commas. The sentence should just read, people who want to preserve wildlife areas oppose the plan to privatize national parks. No commas, right? Look at the next sentence. Shakespeare's tragedy, Othello, deals with the dangers of jealousy. Othello there is a restrictive element. It restricts the meaning of the sentence, and without that word, the sentence means something else. So if we take that word out, the sentence would read, Shakespeare's tragedy deals with the dangers of jealousy. Well, that's not the same, and it's also not true. Not all of Shakespeare's tragedy deals with jealousy, just Othello does. So the way you would write it correctly is without the commas. Shakespeare's tragedy, Othello, deals with the dangers of jealousy. The way I remember it is, if it's that important, if the element is so important that it is directly connected to the rest of the sentence, don't separate it with commas. Let it be directly connected. See what I mean? Okay, the next common error is fused sentences. This is where you have two groups of sentences, two groups of words that can stand on their own as sentences that are just jammed right together with no punctuation or anything separating it at all. For example, the first sentence is, the current was swift, he could not swim to shore. Two different sentences just fused together. Remember, we had the comma splice earlier where you had two groups of words that could stand as sentences that were put together with a comma. This is where they're just put together with nothing, right? And the way you would correct that sentence would be, the current was swift, period. He could not swim to shore. That's one way you could correct it. Another way you could correct it is with a conjunction. Remember, I talked about those. Klee's paintings seem simple, they are very sophisticated. A way that you can join those two sentences is with a conjunction. Klee's paintings seem simple, comma, but they are very sophisticated. So we connected those two sentences with a comma and the conjunction but. All right. Today's attendance question. I would like you to tell me who won the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1943. I want you to give me the name of the actor and the movie that he starred in. Best Actor, Oscar winner, 1943. Give me the actor and the movie. All right, should be easy to find. Moving on. Number 2, misplaced or dangling modifier. A modifier is a word or group of words that modifies something else in the sentence. For example, they could see eagles swooping and diving with binoculars. Sounds sort of like it makes sense, but it doesn't really. The modifying phrase here is with binoculars. Usually the modifier is placed closest to the thing that it's modifying. The placement there is, the phrase there is placed closest to diving. The way this sentence reads grammatically, it's telling us that the eagles were swooping and diving while they were wearing binoculars, right? Clearly does not make sense, okay? So you don't want to say that the eagles were swooping and diving with binoculars. What with binoculars really is modifying is they. They are the ones that are wearing the binoculars, right? So the way the sentence should actually be written is, with binoculars, they could see eagles swooping and diving. See what I mean? Makes more sense, right? You know, and this seems like a little thing because you probably read that sentence the first time and thought, well, yeah, I know what they mean though. I know what they mean though is not good enough. You need to be absolutely precise so that all readers know exactly what you mean all the time, all right? Take a look at another sentence. He had decided he wanted to be a doctor when he was 10 years old. Kind of know what it means, but it's not grammatically correct because the modifying phrase there, when he was 10 years old, as written, is placed closest to doctor. What this sentence literally means is that he wanted to be a 10-year-old doctor. He wanted to be a doctor when he was 10 years old. The correct way to write it is when he was 10 years old, he had decided he wanted to become a doctor. Makes more sense, right? That he decided at 10 that someday he would be a doctor, not that he would be a 10-year-old doctor. All right. The last sentence, the designer only considered using pine panels. Depending, the modifier here is only. The word only is the modifier. Depending on where only is placed in that sentence, the sentence means completely different things. One way, the way that we would correct it, if this is what the author meant to say, was the designer considered using only pine panels. So only is next to pine, so we know that the designer was considering only pine panels and not, you know, maple panel or oak panel or some other kind of panel. The way it's written in the sentence originally, the designer only considered using pine panels. That's the only thing he considered. That's it. He only considered using pine panels, period. He didn't have any other considerations, literally. All right. What if we move that word only around to other parts of the sentence? The only designer considered using pine panels. Well, now we know that it was the only designer, right? The designer considered using pine panels only. That's it. Just pine panels. You know, so again, depending on where only is in that sentence, the modifier, depending on where it is in that sentence, the sentence means completely different things. So you have to make sure that when you're using words or phrases to modify something else, that the sentence says exactly what you mean it to say, all right? And the last common error is its confusion. Its is the possessive form of it. Its apostrophe S is the contraction it is, all right? So the car is lying on its side in the ditch with the apostrophe is not correct. The car is lying on its side in the dish, no apostrophe. Now it makes sense, okay? It's a white 2002 Buick. It's with no apostrophe. There it's not correct. It is a white 2002 Buick, so that would be IT apostrophe S, a white 2002 Buick. I would add to this common error, your, Y-O-U-R, is possessive. YOU apostrophe RE is the contraction of UR. And of course, there, THERE is there, the location. There, THEIR is the the possessive pronoun, as in their homes, their essays, their school, right? And THEY apostrophe RE is the contraction of their R. Please don't mix those things up, because those are things that teachers will jump on if you use the incorrect words. All right, so make sure that when you're using it's, your, their, that you are using the correct spellings. Okay, all right, that is it for the common errors. You have access to all the videos, this and the last 3 videos where I discuss them all. You have access to all the documents I've shared with you on them, so you can review them anytime you want, all right? So let's talk about Essay 4. Your assignment for Essay 4, it has been posted. It should be available now. The thesis is due on Friday, this Friday, May 1st. Yeah, so read the assignment, come up with your thesis by Friday, and hand that in by Friday morning. Your draft is due by Wednesday, May 6th, which is 1 week from today. All right, so, you know, we need to do this quick. Circumstances being what they are, our time and schedule got extremely messed with. So, you know, it is what it is. So thesis by Friday, draft by Wednesday of next week, May 6th. Yeah, 1 week from today. The revision will be due 1 week after that, Wednesday, May 13th. That is the day of our final exam. I will accept revisions of your essay up to 6 p.m. Okay? If you have questions about your thesis or your draft, specific questions about your specific thesis or draft, I will be happy to meet with you, Skype with you, talk with you on the phone to talk about them. Unfortunately, because of the way, you know, circumstances have conspired to affect the semester the way they have, there will be no time for me to conduct peer reviews with you, since I can't do that in real time. As we saw with our last essay, it takes an extra time now for me to get your material, to distribute it to other students, and then for them to give it back, and then for me to give it back to you. There's no time for me to conduct peer review of that. However, you are all on the group meet together. I encourage you to do peer reviews that you can arrange through the group meet. And you can either peer review with people that you know in class, or you can just throw out on the peer review, hey, I need someone to peer review my paper. I'll peer review yours in exchange. Does anybody want to trade papers with me and look them over? I strongly advise you to do that. So Monday, the 4th, is the last day that I will accept revisions of Essay 1. If you've got a graded copy of Essay 1 and you want to revise it again, the last day I'll accept those is Monday, the 4th. Friday, the 8th, will be the last day that I'll accept revisions of graded copies of Essay 2. If you revise these papers again, don't submit them on Blackboard. Send them to the email address. Submit them to me directly through the email address, okay? The Essay 4 material, I have places on Blackboard for you to hand in the thesis, the draft, and the revision, and you should be able to see all of those by now. Essays 1 or 2, though, email them to me directly. okay? I'm going to grade your essay 3 as fast as I can, and I will take revisions of those up until our final exam period, which is the 13th, okay? If you want to revise essay 3 again for a higher grade, I suggest you get in touch with me first so that we can talk it over. There is also homework posted for Friday. In addition to your thesis, there's homework. We're going to do another question and answer. So if you have a question about the assignment, about how to come up with a thesis, about what you can, or, you know, if you're thinking, can I do this in the paper? Can I do that in the paper? And you want to ask me, now is the time to do it. All right. So assignment 20, homework assignment 20, due on Friday, along with your thesis, is a question on assignment 4. Friday, I will talk about, I'll talk about proofreading. Monday, we'll answer questions, and then next week, we'll work on essay 4. And then we'll be done, right? We can finally put this semester behind us. This will be certainly a semester to remember for all of us, I'm sure. Okay, so that's it. Any questions or problems, please email me. Please email me the homework, the attendance question to this email address as always. And hope everybody is staying safe and healthy. And I will see you all again here on Friday. All right, take care. Bye-bye.